Welcome to week 1 of DevCamp. This week, we're getting started with HTML. This is video 1.3, where we learn about headings, paragraphs, and lists. If you haven't already watched the first 2 videos, please do that now. So let's start with our first tag. Since the body is what we see, let's type in something that we can see. After that body tag, type in the subject of your web page, hit enter, and type one sentence about your subject. So I'm going to type, pangolins are rad. Did you know that the penguin, which is as close to a real-life Pokemon as you will ever find, is also the most trafficked non-human animal in the world? Now let's see what it looks like. Click on Show at the top of your page. It will give you 2 options, in a new window or next to your code. For right now, let's pick next to your code, so we don't have to flip between tabs in our browser. The preview lets you see what your page will look like when it's loaded by a browser. What do you see? There it is. But I want to call your attention to something. What is different about the spacing in your HTML and in the preview? Well, I think what we learned here is that the browser doesn't care about your spacing. It doesn't care about your enter keys. It'll mash them all together into a string of text. If you want the browser to display your text correctly, we need to start adding some tags. So before we start doing this, it's important to preview frequently. Making a bunch of changes before previewing can sometimes make it harder to figure out where something went wrong. So make sure to preview frequently and correct problems as they arrive. Also, pay attention to warnings. They look like little red dots next to your code. Because while learning to code gives you great power, as Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. No one's going to come in and fix those problems except for you. There's another pro tip I want to share with you. Learning to code means you have to type a lot. But if you learn some keyboard shortcuts and copy and paste the code, it can really save your bacon. So just in case you don't already know them, you can hold down the Control and C buttons to copy a piece of selected text. Once you've done that, you can use Control and V to paste that text where you want it to go. You can also use Control and X to cut, which copies the highlighted text and cuts it out from where it is. Computers are really, really literal. If you accidentally leave out something, one symbol or one letter, or in some languages, an extra space, the computer will just throw up its hands. It can't guess what you meant. So you have to be really careful that you're not missing any characters or letters. You have everything in the right place. If something doesn't work or doesn't look right, take a step back and double check your work and make sure it looks exactly like what you see on my screen. Otherwise, your computer won't understand what you're trying to do. So let's actually start typing something. We're going to start by labeling our page title with a heading tag. So find that title that you picked before for your page. In my case, it's pangolins are rad. And we're going to start our first tag. We're going to start with less than, H1, and greater than. You'll notice something here. The glitch tries to help us by adding the closing tag too. And we can tell it's the closing tag there by that /. But for our heading to work, we need to make sure our text is actually inside that. So I'm going to select this text. I'm going to say Control X, and then I'm going to paste it inside with Control V. You can also just delete it and rewrite it. So H1 is for our main headings, and we can also add H2, H3, H4, H5 for other headings that are less important than that H1. The browser shows this by making H1s big and bold, H2 slightly less big, H3 even smaller. But let's preview our page now. Let's make sure it works. So go to Show and next to the code. Check it out. Did you see this change? If not, double check your work and make sure you're not missing any of the tags that I have on mine. Now let's add some paragraphs. So the tag that creates a paragraph element is a P. So once again, I'm going to find that sentence that I wrote. And I'm going to do less than, P, greater than. And Glitch is going to try to help me out again. So I'm going to copy, cut, and then paste, Control X, and then Control V, so that all my text is in between the open and close tags of the paragraph. Again, let's preview it. All right, now let's put it all together. Let's add another heading an H2 this time, so we can see how it looks different from the H1, and a paragraph. For mine, I'm adding a why you should care about penguins paragraph. So down here, below my last paragraph, I'm going to say less than H2 greater than. And Glitch just dropped my cursor right in between the open and the close tag. So now I can write my heading, why you should care about pangolins. Now I'm going to go down below and I'm going to add a new paragraph. So less than, P, greater than. Now I can start writing my text. You try it too. Add an H2 and a paragraph to your page, giving more information about the subject that you've chosen. Let's learn about another element, lists. HTML has two kinds of lists, unordered, which show up as bullets, like the ones on the slide here, and ordered, which are numbered, like 1, 2, 3, 4. The way I remember this is I think about a recipe. So the ingredients are an unordered list. It doesn't matter which order I pull the flour or the sugar or the baking soda out of the pantry. But the instructions are an ordered list, because it matters a lot in which order I do things. Otherwise I end up with a mess, right? Lists are really neat because they're our first chance to really experiment with nesting tags, which is putting elements inside of other elements. And truth be told, we've already been doing that. All of our H and our P elements are nested inside the body element, which is nested inside the HTML element. Let's take a look. So check this out. These little drop-down arrows that show up next to the line numbers in our editor, when we click on them, it collapses and hides all of the elements inside of it, so we can see which elements are nested inside of which other ones. So let's try clicking on the body and see what happens. See how all the stuff we've written so far gets folded up? That means all the elements we've created so far are nested inside the body element. To make it come back, we just click that little arrow to pop them out again. So with lists, we nest each item in our list inside of another one. Let's start by making an H2 so people know what our list is about. Less than, H2, greater than. I'll say facts about pangolins. So I'm going to make an unordered list. So I'm going to say UL. Now each item inside that list has its own tag too. So I say inside the UL, LI for list item. And then I list a facts about penguins. Pangolins are cute. And for each bullet I want to make, I add another LI. And all of those live inside the open and close of the UL. So let's see what that looks like when we preview. Go to Show, next to your code. And scrolling down, we can see our H2, and the unordered list gives us little bullets. So now it's your turn. Take a minute and add an ordered or an unordered list to your page. Be sure to pick the list type that matches your content. Add a header so folks know what your list is about. Great work. Now that we've got headings, paragraphs, and lists down, head on to video 1.4 to learn about adding images and links. Please feel free to rewatch any of the videos if you feel like you didn't quite pick it up the first time.